and welcome to this brand new episode of The Cover, a show where we share a sneak peek of the latest Business Today magazine with all our viewers. I'm Sakshi Batra, and with me on this show I have Krishna Gopalan, Deputy Editor, Business Today magazine. Also joining in is Prerna, Lidhoo, special correspondent of the Business Today magazine, who's also done the cover story this time. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for taking the time out on the cover. And now to showcase the first look of the new issue of the magazine to all our viewers, which is out on the stands. The cover displays an image of Bhavish Aggarwal, the founder and CEO of OLA, and the story focuses on the OLA'S ride going forward from here. Krishna, let me come to you first. Talk to us about the magazine, how, what all went behind creating this vibrant looking cover, and also some of the very, nice lifestyle issues and stuff interesting to all the young audiences and the millennial viewers and readers as well.
Starting with Prerna's cover on OLA, where we got an exclusive interview with Bhavish, which I think is an absolute coup, if I may say so. So it's not, he's quite reticent and he's known to keep a low profile. To get him for this long interview, he hasn't ducked any questions. He's opened up on the failures quite candidly. I think that's really hats off to the team for that one. Manish Pant and Arnav Datta spent a while at Jewat to get a ground report on the airport project, and that's pretty interesting. What was really meant to be a whole kind of understanding in terms of what's happening, converting that to a business story and getting in some real big ticket names has been nothing short of an accomplishment to my mind. I worked on the M&A story. The whole idea was to understand why there's this crazy M&A fever frenzy. Of course, there's always the light reading the book. Back of the book, again, we have a pretty nice section. We've got interesting people to speak of. But I think overall, to really sum it up in one sentence, it's a pretty cool issue, if I may say so.
Now, electric vehicles and especially e-scooters have been making headlines for all the wrong reasons in the past quarter or so. So help us understand, and all the viewers as well, whether OLA Electric is here to really disrupt what we call the two-wheeler market in India, just as it actually went on to do so with Ola cabs as and when it entered the market.
Electric vehicles have been in the news for very wrong reasons, for safety concerns, faulty parts. This is not how you want a revolution to start. It'll have a bad name. Yes. A lot of companies have got a bad PR. So even that was our motivation behind, covering this story. Ola Electric, which last year announced a future factory, a grand project to disrupt the two-wheeler market, take on incumbents, take on legacy players like Bajaj, Hero, and even established players like Ather Energy. It was an ambitious ask. It started as an ambitious task at all. So I think it was very interesting to look at a deep dive story into the bumpy ride that the company has had so far, and it has disrupted quite a bit of segments in the sense that traditional companies were being run. But of course, there are other issues like that they have to fix, which is engineering related, battery related, and of course, regulations will come and help us solve that, taking it forward. But I don't think that this initial hiccup will deter EV buyers in the long term. That is at least my hope for now.
Help us understand, as the company gets ready to launch the electric car division as well, is it over all those bumpy rides so far?
I got a sense that their electric car might get delayed and derailed from their original plans. Having said that, I think their two-wheeler journey is on course, and they have fixed a couple of issues. For example, deliveries, RTO challenges that they faced in the before the launch. They are trying to fix it. I would think that if people are willing to, forgive them for this initial. You can call it disruption, you can call it experiment, ambition. I think it can, over a long term, it can establish itself as a mass market EV player.
We were reading, the magazine highlights as well, and how it talked about the total value of India's M&A deals is now close to $100 billion in the first 5 months alone of 2022. Help us understand what really is driving this M&A frenzy in India.
Sakshi, I'm just going to go back in time, because fundamentally, if you go back to a time between 05 and 08, that was also the period of absolutely frantic activity. What is similar between the two periods is the excess liquidity floating the system. And obviously, buyers have worked tremendously hard to ensure that that particular advantage is never frittered away. The big difference, of course, the fact that cross-border was a big story in that particular period. where Indian pharma companies, Indian auto component companies, Indian steel makers. This particular period has been quite remarkable because we've had very limited cross-border buyouts. Most of the deals have been stuck in the domestic market, and we've had a lot of inbound activity. So to that extent, the liquidity continues to be there in the system. But the big difference again is the fact that a lot of weed has been removed. For instance, thanks to the IBC, a lot of good companies have come onto the block. We remember the disinvestment of Air India. We saw the large number of companies like Bhushan Steel and Power, Bhushan Steel, Electro Steel. So the moment the buyers believe there's a clear asset waiting to be lapped up, they're more than willing to cut the check. And because of what happened the first time around, banks were extremely circumspect about lending money to the right people because it burnt their fingers. This time, having been through the motion, they've suddenly figured that the buyers are actually a lot more sincere and the assets are of high quality. So the M&A fever this time, the frenzy continues, but with a marked difference. I frankly don't see any level of abatement as far as the M&A activity is concerned.
That's right, Krishna. Also help us understand, is there more consolidation going to be there in the offing in many more sectors that we've not even seen before?
Sakshi, what stands out about this particular phase of M&A frenzy, if I may call it, is that it comes with exactly one word, that's scale. And companies will do anything to achieve that. Because the moment you get scale, you have a presence in geographical markets, you have a presence to dictate prices, and basically you put yourself in a very strong position. We're seeing the likes of other large companies like PVR and Inox coming together. Bitter rivals, but they also believe that the pandemic and the period beyond means a period of maturity and some commonsensical thinking. So they said, as opposed to fighting out in the market, it probably makes sense to just merge operations. You spoke of consolidation. The answer is inevitable. I don't see too many sectors actually escaping the wave of consolidation. That said, there's another interesting observation that's taken place during the pandemic, somewhat because of it, but for other reasons as well, is that we're seeing a large number of private equity guys coming in and making that big ticket bet on M&As. Earlier, you had them picking up 5 or 10% with a board seat. Now they've come in. We've seen in the case of Pyramid Glass, we've seen in the case of Emphasis. So consolidation is inevitable, also indicates a certain level of maturity as far as the Indian market is concerned, where the Indian companies now believe that looking overseas, or what is famously called cross-border, is not really required. You pick it up when there's a certain need to do it, as opposed to just picking it up because somebody else has done it.
Thank you so much, Krishna, and thank you so much, Prerna, for giving us all those insights and a sneak peek into this cover issue. I urge all the viewers to go out there, grab your copies if you've not done already, because this issue is going to be a promising one, going to give you a whole lot of insights into the way the world is emerging out of two big crises on the backdrop of that, and how are things developing right around you. Thanks a lot for joining us on this issue of the cover.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.